Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Bradenton City Council meeting Wednesday, August 8th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. in City Hall Council Chambers. As we always do, we start out with an invocation and a pledge. And at this time, I would like to call lead pastor Matt Enos with West Side Christian Church to give us our prayer.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, sir.
Council. Thank you for having me. If you would, join me in prayer and bow your heads. Father God, thank you for this day and the calling you have placed on the lives of these men and women. You have entrusted them as stewards of your creation. We seek you first in all they discuss and decide together today. Please guide their hearts as they weigh the business of the day and make their decisions. We place before you the entirety of this agenda and the business of the city of Bradenton as a whole. We give you the city's employees, contractors, providers, and suppliers, and all those who do business in any form with the city of Bradenton. We pray a special blessing upon the residents of this city. May this be a community that provides for their diverse needs, a community where multiple generations can experience safety and peace. May their best interest always be in the hearts of this council as they meet and make decisions to govern. We specifically ask for your protection over our police, firefighters, first responders, who daily risk their lives for the safety and security of our community. May your blessings and protection be upon them and their families. We pray the words of Colossians 3:17. And whatever you do, whether it in word or in deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. Let all this council does today glorify your name. Father, we confess that we are nothing without you, and our trust is in you completely. It's in the name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. All right, if you'll join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and if everyone would please remember to silence your cell phones. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order, and I'm going to take a little executive privilege here and call up Kurt Landefeld of the Bradenton Housing Authority Board to introduce our new interim executive director, but hopefully soon to be full-time. So, Mr. Landefeld.
Good morning. My name is Kurt Landefeld. I am Vice Chair for the Bradenton City Housing Authority, and I am here this morning to introduce to you our new Executive Director, Dominique Dunn. You may remember that our former director, Ellis Mitchell, announced his retirement in June, and we quickly went into a search mode to find his successor. He had been and served well for the city of Bradenton for 10 years. We received between 30 and 35 applications for the job, and then narrowed that down to 5 finalists. We conducted interviews, 2 by Zoom and 3 in person. And I'm pleased to say that when we met afterwards to evaluate those interviews, that Ms. Dunn came out number 1 on each of our evaluations. She comes to us from Washington, D.C. Housing Authority. She, previous to that, was with a couple of housing authorities in North Carolina, and she does have family roots here in Florida. We are delighted to have her, and I'm delighted to turn the microphone over to her now to say hello.
Thank you, Mr. Landefeld. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. I am very excited to be here. I look forward to working with you all. I want to thank the commissioners and the board for hiring me, and I'm super excited to be here and ready to get to work.
All right, well, we just wanted to welcome you, and you're welcome back anytime. And we look forward to a lot of great things going on in the Housing Authority and bringing some of our 1960 buildings into this era that we're doing for our citizens. So,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, Madam Clerk.
Our first proclamation today is for First Responders Appreciation Day, October 28th, 2025. Whereas Congress and the President of the United States have designated October 28th as First Responders Day. And whereas first responders include 911 operators and dispatchers, law enforcement officers, firefighters, emergency medical services personnel, search and rescue teams, emergency management professionals, road maintenance personnel, and other roles in the public safety sector. And whereas first responders are a vital part of our city whose skills often make the difference between life and death while dedicating their lives to protect public service, education, and extensive training. And whereas these courageous individuals are our primary and best defense against all emergencies that threaten our communities. They are quick to respond to dangerous situations and come to the aid of the citizens while often risking their own safety and lives to protect others and property. And whereas first responders respond to emergencies without hesitation when the need arises and tirelessly gives their time and energy, making themselves available at all times. And whereas the City of Bradenton wishes to thank our first responders for their service and dedication to our city and its residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Jean Brown, as Mayor of the City of Bradenton, Florida, do hereby proclaim October 28, 2025 as First Responders Appreciation Day, and urge all citizens to acknowledge the sacrifice of the first responders who make our city the best in which to live, work, and play. Signed, Jean Brown, Mayor.
Thank you. Both chiefs going to come up and tell us who we got here and what we're celebration.
Give us a moment, if you would, for quite a few of our personnel and the fire personnel to come stand behind us, because we're just standing in front of them, in front of you. But it's all of these folks for us and many more who help get the job done every day to keep everybody safe. I'm very proud, as I've said several times, to be the chief of this department. I dedicate my life to this city, and I'm glad that all these folks behind us are doing the same.
So, as Chief Kramer said, we're basically, a couple different departments, but we work well together. We respond together all the time, and I can't say enough about the brave men and women of both the police and fire departments, and we've got such a good working relationship with them. And but really, we couldn't do our job without our people, and they answer the calls day and night. Our dispatchers, our EMS folks, and it's a well-rounded response system that we have in place to take care of our citizens. And so we appreciate this and the time you take for us. Really do.
Thank you. Council, comments? Ms. Barnard?
Thank you. We could not do this job without you.
All right. All right, I'll say, Ms. Coachman?
Yeah, sorry. Had some technical difficulties, but I cannot let this go by without saying something. Mrs. Barnaby, you said it as best, and I wish I knew some other languages to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because what you do every day is, the city is protected, and you will respond when you're needed quickly, because I see it. We can't do these enough. It should be first responders days, 365, 366 on a leap year. So just know that we thank you, we appreciate you, and please keep protecting us and taking care of us.
Ms. Coker?
I mean, it's redundant, but of course, many, many thanks. I'm so proud to be associated with you. You really do make us, you are the face of us a lot of times in some of people's worst times. So thank you so much for all that you do. And every time I've ever had any interaction, it's been nothing but positive. And I was going to say this for my council reports, but I just want to thank you all too. Yesterday evening, the Touch a Truck, having all the equipment out there, and you're, fostering that wonderful relationship with I think the young people in our town, I was really proud to be there and see y'all and see them interact. We are the friendly city, and it shows, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Moore?
I won't also belabor it, but I will say that it's just been an absolute pleasure and honor to get to know many of you more personally and yeah, be able to say that I work alongside you. So I would like to offer any assistance I possibly can if that ever need arose, but I thank you all for your service.
And Mr. Schuessler?
I'd also echo the same. I'd like to thank you all. And also, it was in my council comments as well, BPD National Night Out. It's so important in my new role to get to know you guys, but what is important is visibility and visibility to the city. And I've just so pleased with, the way that all of you interact and serve our city, and last night was just a great example of that, so thank you.
Yep. Thank you, and I'll obviously echo everything with the thank you, and what you do every day is so important because we know that all of our police, fire, public works, all that are the face of our city every day, and that's what they see. So we just want to thank you for that. And then again, last night was unbelievable with everyone that was out there and just seeing the community celebrate you. And the Touch a Truck was fun, and the kids really did it, even though my granddaughter said when we got there, I won't say it too much, but she goes, I want to see the fire truck. And then she wouldn't get in it. So, but she goes, two and a half years old. She's like, I'm not afraid of the fire truck till she got by the fire truck. But just those fun things, seeing the kids stuff and the kids running and going to those trucks and seeing what they can do and just in the whole city. So, and the great event, great timing, and great weather. And I'm thinking we may still be here next year for it, but not very much after it. Then we'll have to figure out what we'll do next. But that's well worth it when we move into the new police station, as we move into a new fire station this month. So a lot of good things happening in our city, and that's because of you guys and everyone working together. So we appreciate it. Mr. Perry, did you have any final comments before we move on to the next?
Share in the sentiments expressed by council. It's a great team to work with on both sides of our public safety units with police and fire.
I am wondering if there's any way we can dampen or turn the horns off.
On
That
some of the-
equipment last night.
That was the fun part, though.
Oh, yeah.
Discuss the Public Works. I think.
Yeah. But all right, thank you very much. Let's get everybody kind of stand there. We'll stand behind you and get a picture. Got your box?
Sorry. There we go. Good? I feel so tall on it. I love it.
It's awesome.
We didn't get one for Rob, though. Thank you.
Stand here, please, for the next presentation.
They could go.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Our next proclamation is for Register Your Emergency Contact Information Week, October 13th through the 17th, 2025. Whereas the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles Emergency Contact Information Program allows all individuals with a valid Florida driver's license or identification card to voluntarily provide emergency contact information online at www.flhsmv.gov/ECI, or when in an office to apply for a driver's license or ID card. And whereas registering your information in the state of Florida's award-winning ECI program is a highly effective way to enhance the lives of Floridians by providing contact information to law enforcement officers during critical emergencies. And whereas To Inform Families First, or TIF, was created by Christine Olson after losing her daughter Tiffany in a fatal motorcycle crash in 2005, to ensure law enforcement officers have the information they need to notify loved ones when emergencies arise. And whereas the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and TIF have joined together to encourage all licensed drivers and ID card holders to register or update their information, which is stored in a secure database used only by law enforcement agencies. And whereas many states, including Alabama, Arkansas, Colorado, Delaware, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Minnesota, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, and Wisconsin have joined the state of Florida in their endeavor to provide immediate contact information to families during a critical incident. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Jean Brown, as mayor of the city of Bradenton, Florida, do hereby proclaim October 13th through the 17th, 2025, as Register Your Emergency Contact Information Week, and urge all citizens to join the 20 million registered Floridians participating in this program to ensure all families can be notified if an emergency should arise regarding their loved ones. Signed, Jean Brown, Mayor.
Okay, if you come forward. So before you talk, I'm going to talk. So
Okay.
That's my privilege here. One of the things I want to say is, in this world, when you look at things and what happens around, you think, well, one person can't make a difference. And when you look at what she's done over these 19 years after a tragedy, we've all lost people in different ways and family members, but when a tragedy hits, it's how do you take it and what do you do? And one of the things that you've done in these 19 years is not only celebrate your daughter's life and her boyfriend, but you've came up with a way to get 19 states so far to help. And it hasn't been easy, we know that, but one person, and you always say it when we're at an event, just a server at Rod and Reel Pier that is, not knowing how to do it, but you've got the gift of kindness. And what you've done out of this tragedy, which is nobody understands losing a child until it happens to you, and you hope you never have to. But what you've done is such an honorable thing to try to help other parents and family members. And when you look, we all have family members that you think of our kids and other things that if something happened to them, could they get a hold of us? And I think the story that sticks with me is, they grab a driver's license, the police officers all back there, because they're all so kind-hearted, and the first responders, they grab that driver's license and they go to the address on the driver's license. Well, obviously that person's not there. And if they're an adult, they can't find somebody. So what you've done is above what anybody ever expected or would have thought of, but what you've done is world-changing. And now the goal is for anybody out there, I see some of our other businesses out there that are doing things, that have a lot of drivers and a lot of things, because it's not about getting 1,000 people, it's about getting one person that gets 10, that gets 20. And now if you see anybody in other states that the states don't have it, try to get it. So I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but I just want to celebrate you because you are one person and you have made a Goliath difference in our country, and we thank you for that. So now it's your turn.
I could give you a hug, I guess, but I do that quite often.
Right.
And, as I watch the first responders and stuff, Tiffany was training to be an EMT. She's always had a heart for helping. She wanted to work on the bloodmobile bus. She said, "Mom, are you donating blood? It's important." So she always had this heart for looking out for others. She didn't make it as an EMT. That was not her gifting. She went and worked for a home builder in Sarasota. And when you said on the proclamation that she was killed on a motorcycle, yes, she was. But that has such a stigma on it that when they say motorcycle, you think young people on motorcycles. Well, there's millions of people that ride these bikes. And I have actually reached out to Harley Davidson in Milwaukee, where I'm from, to possibly be a sponsor for TIF. So if anybody knows anybody in the Harley world. But I think of that night, December 7th, 2005. If these officers had the resource TIF provides, would have things have been different. Tiffany was killed on impact, so her life ended that night. But Dustin, her boyfriend, lived 15, 20 minutes longer. And Dustin was the son of a sheriff detective. Boy, I still get tied up in my words. Terry Kipp was his father. So there was ties right with the sheriff's department, law enforcement. But back in 2005, there was no resource for law enforcement to know who to contact quickly. So when this happened to me, I just felt in my heart, if it's happening to me, it's happening to others. It's happening to you, your family, everyone in this audience. If you do not add emergency contacts, the national average is 6 hours. Are you willing to wait? I hope not. So last year I was here and I received the key to the city. And I was so honored that my mayor, which I've really become great friends with, honored me with such a thing. And I looked at it and I thought, so what keys? What doors is this key going to open now? I am proud to say that there is going to be federal legislation filed by Congressman Vern Buchanan. I was on a Zoom call, which is so odd, with Washington, D.C. yesterday. To have 3 members in Washington saying, okay, how are we going to form this bill? I don't want it just to be words on paper. I want it to pull at your heartstrings. If we don't do this for the families of America and for law enforcement to have a tool in their tool belt when emergencies happen, the bill means nothing. We have to get this done. So that was my words to Washington, D.C. We have to tug on the heartstrings of Congress because that's where it's headed. So anybody and people of faith here, just pray for me. Just pray for me, really. So I am here with great honor to receive the second proclamation, but it really means to me a stepping stone as I take this program to everybody. I know in my heart Tiffany would be so proud of her mom, because this is not who I am. I was a server at the Rod and Reel, and just for you to know, now that pier is gone, but I would wear TIF bracelets to work. Tourists would come in for a grouper sandwich. They'd ask about the bracelet. I told them what it was, and they said, is my state doing it? And I said, not yet. They left with a bracelet and got their states on board. They came as a tourist, had a grouper sandwich, left with a bracelet, and went on to change their state. That was Illinois, Kentucky, and Colorado. 3 states, 1 person in each one proposing the idea. So we only have 19 states. Where does your family live? Where does your family live? How can we get it into the rest of the states? I need people to come alongside me and just say, okay, I'm going to take on this state. But right now, I just would like to hand off a pen, if I may.
We'll come out front. We'll come out and get a picture with you.
So, whatever your sphere of influence, I am so grateful for that man right there. He just did an interview with Bay News 9, and he is still wearing his TIF bracelet from October 2nd. Mayor Gene Brown still got the bracelet, still promoting. Keep talking, keep talking. But I am just so grateful, and I do have some flyers and some bracelets if anybody would like one. But let's go for that national change and maybe worldwide. So thank you so very much.
So this morning at breakfast at Robbins downtown, I have a group that meets there, and talking about some of it, and one of the gentlemen there, which everybody knows, Ernie Withers. Ernie had a heart attack, but he was around everybody that knew him. So they were able to get a hold of his wife right away, and thank goodness he survived. But Ernie's like, wow. I go, what if you'd have been somewhere where nobody knew where you were and couldn't got a hold of your wife? or things happen. So he took a picture of it and was signing up this morning. So it's one person at a time, because his sphere of influence will grow.
Absolutely, for him and his family,
Right,
but you
yeah.
know, it's taking that national average of 6 hours to literally minutes. So they just, law enforcement simply swipes that license, up come the emergency contact. So I'm grateful for the opportunity.
All
Thank
right,
you,
well,
everyone. Thank
let's-
you.
Ms. Barnaby?
No,
Okay, we're gonna get a picture.
Yeah,
Let's
that's-
come down to you.
I was
Oh.
looking at you to see if that's what we
Yeah,
were doing.
that was the better. When we have all the people, it's harder.
Mayor, would you hold this for me?
Sure.
You are the one that
Hold up our
honored me with it.
bracelets. Hold up our bracelets.
Yes, hold up your bracelets, and there's pens for everybody. Oh. Do you have a bracelet?
Yeah, get 'em.
Get 'em.
There's extras. Put them on first before we get the picture, yeah.
Oh, Kemp needs one.
Oh,
I
yes.
don't have an.
Bracelet.
Oh, here, wait. One
got a
second,
couple on.
one more second. Everybody got one?
I like it. Well, you want him to.
One more.
Oh, we need another
We're
one.
in, we're in. I got one more. Here it is.
Yep.
That's the last one.
Kinda hold it with me now, that's yours. Yep. They'll get it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, take your pen. Mayor has one, and the police chief has his already. Well, you know what? Yeah, look at the change, look at millions of lives. I'll give you a call. Okay, let me see if I have it. I have one more bracelet. Everybody got one? Right here. Now, the deal with the bracelets, you can't take it off until you register or update.
Right, for
Updating
you
is just
too.
as important. And then you don't keep it to adorn your wrist,
Kemp.
you pay it forward to someone.
Thank you. All right, thank you for the indulgence there. It's, some things in life are important, and sometimes when it can actually help you and your family, it's important to get that out. So please go and register and help families. All right, Madam Clerk.
The next item on the agenda is citizen comments.
All right, since we have no presentations, all right. Citizen comment will be accepted during the citizen comment portion of the meeting on any non-agenda item, future agenda item, or topic of relevance to the city. Comments will be accepted on the public hearings at the appropriate time. So it's important to remember that you'll have 3 minutes, and please state your name and your city when you come up. We will not respond during the citizen comment till all citizens have spoken, and then we will respond or direct you to the proper staff member to get information. So the first citizen comment I have is Preston Whaley. Please come forward, you have 3 minutes. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor, and council. I was here, between the last meeting, city council meeting, and this meeting, I was able to look at I had to leave because I have to work but anyway, I saw the recording of the meeting, and I was just observing, and I was listening to the people who were advocating for Cottonmouth, and they, I was struck by how they were saying that they felt like they were being targeted, they felt like they were being singled out, that they were being persecuted in a certain kind of way. And then later, later in the meeting, Mr. Perry spoke up and said that, you know what? They're not being singled out. And they're not being targeted. And they're really not being persecuted. They're being called to account for some of the things that they're not complying with the law. And I really appreciated that. So I wanted to say that. Several months ago, before we decided to take any kind of legal recourse to remedy the situation with Cottonmouth, you know, I would go over there and I would ask Dave if he could have him cut the music down. I would ask the band members. And I asked, on one occasion, I asked this gentleman that was, he was like the leader of a band, and he said, you know what? You were really like the problem. You are what is ruining music in America. You know, you're an example of that. And, you know, I understood where he's coming from, because he's just showing up at a venue and people are complaining and he just wants to play music and have a good time. And then, but my house is 40 feet away from the stage. He doesn't know it's a residential neighborhood. It's T4R. And, you know, I've said to Dave a long time ago, I said, I don't really know, Dave Shiplett, the owner there, I don't really know, you know, how you have established this business in a residential neighborhood. There are residents on all sides of this location, to the south, to the west, to the east. There's a street intervening, but.
All right, thank you.
All right, sure.
Next
Thank
would
you.
be Kimla Morrell. Good morning. Please state your name and your city of residence.
Hi, my name is Kimla Morrell in Bradenton, Florida.
Thank you.
My address is 521 12th Ave West in Bradenton. I'm here, first of all, I want to say to the mayor and the city, you guys have done a great job of cleaning up 12th Ave. Years ago, I stood here and there was lots of crime on that street, prostitution, all of that stuff. You guys really came in. I heard the word visibility. So with the visibility that was provided by the Bradenton Police Department, it has ceased. I hear children running and screaming, tearing up my mango trees, but that's all good. I love it. I love it. But what I'm here for is, there was some construction done on the roads, and the roads are awful. I got a new car, Santa Cruz, Hyundai, love it. But these potholes and everything are awful. So it's been since, I think, July, like early July, and nothing has been done. So I want to know what's going on, what's the plan? When can we get these roads finished? I don't know what the project is. Sorry, I haven't educated myself that much on knowing what the project is. I believe it's something with the fire extinguishers, maybe. I'm not sure. Please correct me or educate me. But I know that the roads are a mess. So please let me know what's the plan and how soon we can get our roads fixed. And we want some decorations, some flowers, so we'll be working on that, beautifying our city in that area. Wonderful. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. I have no other comments at this time, but I would ask if Mr. Lee could talk with Ms. Morrell, and then obviously we're planning a workshop coming up soon about some of the things that are going on in Village of the Arts and that, and Ms. Singer could, if you need to talk with Preston anymore now, would just tell him when that's coming up. I think November or October 21st, I think it is. Yeah, so, all right. So, yeah, Mr. Lee, our Public Works Director, will get with you, Ms. Morrell. All right, moving on, Madam Clerk.
Item 6 is the consent agenda, and staff is requesting approval of items A through O.
All right, Chair will entertain a motion. I can't make it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Move to approve consent agenda items 6A through 6O.
A through O.
Second.
All right, we got a motion by Ms. Coachman, a second by Ms. Barnaby. Any discussion? Hearing none?
I have had the
Yes.
opportunity to speak with all
Mr.
council
Perry,
regarding
good.
these consent agenda.
All right.
Answer any questions related thereto, and provide any additional information.
And everything on the consent agenda does, when you go online, you can click on the little blue part of it and open it up and read, so there's nothing that's hidden in there. So we have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda A through O. We'll start the vote in Ward 3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
Yes.
1,
Yes.
2.
Yes.
Approved 5-0. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
At this time, I'll administer the oath. Anyone wishing to speak during the following public hearing, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the factual statements and representations which you are about to present to this board will be truthful and accurate? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7A is a public hearing for Resolution 2584 related to a dock.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, good morning, council. My name is Jamie Schindewolf, representing the City of Bradenton Planning Department, and I have been sworn. The resolution before you today is a request for a residential dock at 2101 Riverview Boulevard, Bradenton, Florida. Here's an overview of the case. The applicant was from Mariner Dock and Seawall, the agent for the owner, who I believe is in the audience today. You can see the future land use here is res low and the zoning is R1. And this is a request for a special use permit for a private dock across a public right-of-way. This aerial shows you the location of the property. And here you can see the future land use of res low and that entire neighborhood, as well as the zoning of R1, single-family residential. The existing dock on this property was substantially damaged by the hurricanes in 2024, but we were unable to find any record of an existing special use permit, so that's why it's before you again today, or not again today, but before you for the first time today, because a special use permit is required in situations where a dock is across a public right-of-way. The proposed request is a dock 50 feet in length and 400 square feet total in size to match the original footprint of the dock that was destroyed. And here you can see a photo both of the public hearing sign and where the dock used to be. These are our special use standards for these situations, and the dock will not be attached to the seawall. The setbacks are met. The easement agreement that is mentioned in these standards will be furnished at the time of the actual dock permit application. The dock is similar in design to other nearby docks, and of course, the proper FDEP permitting will be obtained prior to the dock being constructed if necessary. The recommended stipulations were edited a bit from the Planning Commission hearing, and you can see the recommended stipulations today. Public Works just wanted to add some additional clarification about the times that a right-of-way permit would be necessary if those conditions happen to come up in the construction of the dock. So that's why you see 4 stipulations when originally, back before Planning Commission, there were only 3. So the proposed use does appear to generally meet the criteria for special use approval, and Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval with the said revised stipulations. Thank you.
Questions by council? All right, I do have one question, just because we're dealing with a lot along Riverview Boulevard now. There is several, and you may or may not know this, or maybe we've talked about some of it before, but when you go along that seawall, there are some that the actual homeowners have deeds to, and some that are city parts of it. And we know that this is not deeded to that property. It's totally, from that boundary, is city-owned. Please state your name for the record.
Carl Springfield.
Okay, the applicant, so, sure. It's not, I just wanted it to be on the record that, because we have found that about half of the seawalls are owned by, it's on their deeds that they own all the way to there. So there's some different things you can do. So, Ms. Barnaby?
I have riparian rights.
Was he sworn?
No.
Okay. So, yeah, sir, can you raise your right hand? Okay, raise your right hand. I don't think he can hear.
Yeah.
And be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm? Okay.
All right. So, anybody else have any questions? Mr. Rudisell, do we need to do anything different than we just did?
No, I mean, there are some properties that, where they're able to establish that they have riparian rights, they don't go through the
Right.
special use permit process, so.
I just wanted, again, on the record that we believe that this portion of it is the city-owned, where we feel about 40+% might have the title on their deeds that shows they own the seawall. And it wasn't a trick question, it was just so we get some information, because we're dealing with Riverview Boulevard every day now with a lot of things. And when you go down Riverview Boulevard, almost all of the docks look like what you showed us. So, all right, thank you. So any other questions by council for staff? And I don't think we have a applicant any more information, so. Anything else to say, sir, before we go to the public hearing? I don't think you can hear. Come up to the microphone and just state your name again.
It's stipulated that
Please state your name for the record.
Carl Springfield.
Thank you.
Bradenton.
Thank you.
It's stipulated that you can demand me to remove the dock at any time. Under what circumstances would you do that?
I don't, Mr.
And
Rudisell.
have me pay for it?
Is there any, that's just kind of a standard stipulation if something
Yeah,
changes.
I can't envision what that would be. I mean, I guess if the city wanted to do some kind of project along Riverview there that required the docks to be removed, but.
That would be, it would be vetted very well, and it would also be where if there was cost, we would have to bear them all, and reimbursement even possibly, I would think. But I'm saying reimbursement of us taking it down, we'd have to take it down and move it and probably try to tie it into something.
In other words, that would be your whim?
It could, the vote of the council, yes, but we've never had that happen in that situation, but it has to be in there for legal reasons. Thank you. All right, seeing no further discussion, we will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak, for or against? Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. The chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Barnaby.
I would like, I'm going to make the motion. If I get a second, I have a few other things to share. I'll make the motion that we approve with the stipulations that were shared with us today, Resolution 2584.
Second.
Second by Ms. Coker. Ms. Barnaby.
Thank you. Just for clarification, I live 3 houses away from this gentleman. I don't own his property. I'm not related to him. There is no conflict with me voting on this today. I also want to say, because we had problems along Riverview Boulevard with certain docks not being kept up, this gentleman kept his dock up. It was absolutely the whim of Mother Nature is the reason he lost his dock. His dock was always pristine and kept up. And I also want to say, because of our neighborhood, we had neighbors that stayed during Helene, and 2 of them helped get that gentleman and his wife out of their house in like 4 feet of water. So it was storm surge, it was a hurricane, his dock did not go down from disrepair or not paying attention to it. We do have docks along Riverview that was the case, and Mother Nature hastened their demise. His dock was not one of them.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Hearing none, we'll start the vote in Ward 4 to approve.
Yes.
5?
Yes.
1?
Yes.
2?
Yes.
3?
Yes.
Approved 5-0. Thank you very much. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Item 7B is Resolution 2586, related to the fee structure for city stormwater management fees.
And who do we have speaking to this, Mr. Williams? Bye, thank you.
So this is during our budget meetings and so forth, and in the workshop, we talked about doing an increase.
Can you bring
in
the
our,
microphone a little closer?
Yep, sorry. We had discussed increasing the rates by 3%. We hadn't had an increase in 3 years, so roughly equals out to about a 1% increase across the board. So that's what this resolution does.
Okay, any questions for
Mayor,
Mr.
if I could
Williams?
just add a little bit on this particular resolution, item 7B, which is a stormwater fee. People wonder, you know, what we have to maintain for stormwater operations in the city. And really, that relates to what's called an MS4 permit that is required by the government. It's administered through state DEP, but it is related to the Federal Clean Water Act. That requires us to basically provide different types of infrastructure and maintenance and operations surrounding that infrastructure that assures that the stormwater that's collected in the city enters the navigable waterways of the state and federal waterways ultimately in a way that meets certain filtration requirements. And so to that extent, you will see things like stormwater structures around the city. Across from the Art Center is a good example of one, and it's a multi-tiered weir channels that's designed to store stormwater and ultimately, once it is filled up, transfer that stormwater through the conveyance into the river. That has to be maintained. So under the MS4 permit, we have to do inspections of that, we have to camera it, we have to maintain it, we have to clean it, and things of that nature. So we have a stormwater section that we operate. It's an enterprise, as many of you know, one of our 4 enterprises. It's an enterprise that doesn't do particularly well. And this stormwater fee continues to fund that at a level that, to in large part, pay for itself for the stormwater maintenance of the citizens and residents of the city, both commercial and residential. It's always been a tricky thing. Our stormwater fees are considerably lower than any surrounding area. And we think at some level, we have to catch up a little bit on the fee reimbursements.
Okay, one of the things too, Mr. Perry, I wanted to check and just kind of put out there that a lot of times when we look at the stormwaters in different areas that people call, and especially last year with some of the hurricanes and flooding that we had, you look at like Wares Creek and some of the things which takes a mass volume of the water, and a lot of that water comes from county, you know, into Wares Creek, from Up Creek and all of that. So, you know, we do work with the federal, state, and everyone else to try to get some of these bodies of water cleaned out so the flow is better. And one gentleman in particular calls quite often, in a good way, that we're not doing anything. And I know Mr. Lee has probably talked to him a few times and working. So all of this plays into continued support for continued effort to make our stormwater flow the best way it is, and not having an increase in 3 years is, you know, nice, but at some point it catches up with us, and only doing a 1% over a 3-year period to go to 3% now is something that I think that's important to continue our face it and fix it situation with everything that we're doing. So I saw Mrs. Moore's card up, Ms. Moore, and then Ms. Coker.
In our conversation, I questioned why we were doing this today when on consent we have engaged the services of a vendor to study the rates. And Mr. Perry was going to speak a little to where we're at in comparison to other municipalities, I guess for some level of reassurance that we're not being imprudent or getting ahead of ourselves to do it now when we're engaging a vendor to study the rates. And then just for purposes of discussion, I'll just note that I'm not necessarily, I don't have a problem necessarily with keeping up with other municipalities. But I do want to make sure that we're keeping in mind that we just are about to engage in a study, and also that those areas that are in such great need of stormwater services, I want to make sure that when we're, you know, this is a constant, a theme that runs through a lot of our services, and that's my concern with increasing fees when residents feel like we're not performing well.
Yeah. Do you mind if I comment?
No, I think I want to take a shot at that. One
Mr.
of the
Perry,
rea-
talk to the
yeah,
microphone.
one of the reasons why we have aged infrastructure in here is because we didn't charge our residents the going rate over a period of time. When you're running sanitary sewer systems infrastructure, water distribution infrastructure, stormwater infrastructure, the construction, the upkeep, and the maintenance of that, particularly in a city that is over 100 years old, basically, is considerable. And so we can wait, we can punt and say, well, let's wait till we do the stormwater study. Matrix has done a study previously to not a deep dive, but a nearby surrounding community study on our rates. And they're considerably lower. And you don't have to be a rate expert to figure that out. You can call people that you know in Sarasota. We all live around here for a long time. You can call people in St. Petersburg. You can call people in Northport. And what you'll find is that our rates are considerably lower. It's good that we've been able to keep those rates contained, but I can tell you that, in my opinion, 4.5 years into the job, we had not kept up our infrastructure. And whether it's the MS4 permit system and the infrastructure related to stormwater, or it's some of that other utility infrastructure, it's painful to do that. It's painful to do it for a governing body, for a mayor, for a city administrator, because citizens do look at that. And your point about, well, it's not performing well. Well, but what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Why is it not performing well? Because it's aged and it hasn't been kept up with responsible rate applications? Or is it not performing well because, I don't know, weather patterns change and things like that? To not do this now means that we will have to do a lot more. We haven't done it for 3 years, and I'm a little bit amazed why. And that department over there, Public Works, that I seem to be intricately involved in working with, we had MS4 permit issues about 2 years ago, and they've been ongoing. And what you get from DEP, or as representatives of EPA, because it's a federal delegation to a state regulatory agency, is you get administrative fines, and that chips away at the money. So now you can't fix stuff because you got to pay the regulator. It's a sticky wicket, there's no doubt, and it's a difficult situation from a public interest and economic situation. But the reality is that where we're at now is we are facing it and fixing it. And in order to do that, we have to use some of our rate to do it. We also receive a lot of additional funds. In this year, we received for a East Side Drainage Project, which is a stormwater project, several $1 million on that project alone. And so we do everything we can to find supplemental funding, because at the end of the day, you want to try to find everything you can to fund this type of infrastructure, remediation, and rebuilding, and hit the rate last. Because that's what the citizens pay. And that's our strategy. That's our charter to do. But the reality is the rate has to contribute to. And that's where we're at.
All right, Ms. Coker, and then Ms. Barnaby, and then Mr. Schuster.
Yes, I had expressed concern about raising the rates, but I'm certainly very sensitive to the deferred maintenance aspect and what we're having to deal with now, and don't want to get in that situation again. But in terms of just raising the rates because the neighboring communities are raising them, I want to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples. Are we doing the same stormwater mitigation that they are. Just because we can spend more, I want to make sure that it's tied to improving the stormwater management. And I mean, I was going to bring this up in my council comments, but maybe this is a better time to talk about it. Behind me is a very large stormwater ditch that is very close to the outfall for Palmasola Bay. And we've just recently found out that, and the city is quitting maintaining it now, because we found out that it is not city-owned property, it's actually a private company that owns the property. So I just want to make sure, we're talking about all these things on the east side, but don't forget about us on the west side, because we're older, and that to me is a very significant stormwater outfall. And we're dealing with all this now with water quality in Palmasola Bay, could very well be tied to parts of that. So I just want to bring that up.
On that point real quick, we have 44 miles, linear miles of coastline in an area that is 14 square miles large. We got a lot of coastline. When you look at that coastline, you're thinking about Palmasola Bay, the Manatee River, the Wears Creek, the Braden River, things like that. And each one of those has a natural channel that goes into it. You've got the Palmasola Drain, it's called, the Cedar Hammock Drain that goes into there. You've got the Wears Creek channels Mayor talked about. You've got Braden River, all types of different, and we have to maintain those too. When you talked about private owned property that conveys naturally without structure, we don't put big pipes in there, 72-inch pipes. It's natural channel that conveys the water to the navigable waterway from standing positions in different locations of the city and the like. When you talk about that, we could enforce on those people, but let's start a different division, because we're going to need the enforcement division now. And sometimes those MS4 permits require you to enforce. At my prior jurisdiction, when you went into the Rio Grande River, that was one of the things we got, is we didn't have an aggressive enough enforcement effort. And we couldn't take it on. So it's kind of complicated. And you're right, that those private entities are contributors to it as well, and they have responsibilities. One of the things now is when developments do go in and they want to do either improvements or new construction, they have to do a SWIMP with it, which is a wastewater management plan, it's called, both for construction and then moving afterwards. So that's all, it's all regulated. Yep.
I'm going to go Mr. Schuessler first.
Yeah, I was just gonna, my concern, as Ms. Gonzalez-Moore mentioned, would be if we do nothing, if we just continue to wait and do nothing, is there potentially an increased reliance, depreciation of the general fund? Do we have to go into that? And then therefore, do we potentially not remain in compliance with its loans and covenants? So it's just a concern of mine. And as you know, as Rob mentioned, you know, if we just continue to wait until we get this study back, those are my concerns.
I'm going to take that one, Mr. Perry. So one of the things that we've done has been very important under my administration for the last 5 years is what we do with our ad valorem tax. And the first 3, we actually lowered the millage rate, very minute, where nobody's trying to pull any wool over anybody's eyes, but it's been, at least it was going down. This year, we decided to stay level with where we were, which when you look at it, it's getting close to, you know, $1.5 million, $2 million a year, that if we just stayed at the rate we were at, the millage rate we were at when I started, we'd have a couple of million more dollars coming in every year. So one of the things that when you look at, and I don't like user fees, I don't like the other things either, but with us not raising those rates, as well as lowering the millage rate or staying flat this year, it has put us a little bit behind on some of our face it and fix it, that we aren't going to blame the past. We're going to look forward and what we can do now. So to do this increase now might not only help where we're at momentarily, but when we get this final study, and all of a sudden the study says you need to go up 12%, and we have done nothing, then it's catastrophic, where we can figure out what this rate study will bring us. And we've already done the 3% now, which in reality is 1% over 3 years, which is, none of it's minute, but it's smaller, and then we can have a plan how we go forward year over year from there. And I think it's important for what we do is really continue to set the city up with the Face It and Fix It, continue to market what we can do, say grant-wise and other ways that we have done as a board up here with great staff and great leadership from others that we have hired to bring in those fundings. So that's one of the things a citizen asked me the other day with watching all the, what we're going to talk about tomorrow in real detail, Face It and Fix It, at a workshop, is, well, how are we going to pay for it? Well, think about what we've done, getting close to $100 million that we've spent with our underground and our wastewater plant while still trying to manage Evers Reservoir and working on the stormwater. And we have lowered our millage rate, or stayed flat, and it's been a great feat without putting it on the backs of the citizen. But it comes to a point when we can't then get to where somebody 10 years from now is saying, why didn't they do something 10 years ago? And that's where we are. We're saying, why didn't they do something for 20 years before us? And some of us were up here and doing things, but I don't know that we had that great administrative opportunities and great elected opportunities. Again, not to look back, but if we don't take that step now, shame on us for the future. And again, I'm one that you all know that I don't want to raise fees, but sometimes we have to get what we pay for. And believe me, I don't want to be anybody to the north of us or anybody to the south of us, being generational family here in this town, but sometimes we got to pay for what we get when we get done with it. And this is just the first step in looking what we're going to do. Now, beneficial to us, and we're still a couple of years away, but when you put on this property, you look at Old City Hall, you look at Westminster, there's opportunities that we won't have to do some of that in the future because 3 non-performing pieces of property, and Westminster's very low performing now, but there will be money, and that's why I think it's important, and I'm saying this to some of our staff and looking at one, that I will always try to lower the millage rate if there's an opportunity as we go. And we don't know what statewide is going to happen, but we've got to continue to work to service the people we are. And as Mrs. Moore said, it may not be at a level we like right now in a lot of things, but that's because we don't have the money to pay for it. And if we don't get the money, how are we going to do it? So I think, Ms. Barnaby, did you still want to speak? Yes. And then, you were done, Mr. Schuessler?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Barnaby and then Ms. Moore.
Thank you. One of the things that I seem to remember when we were looking at the grants that we tried to get in the past was the governmental agencies going, well, what have you collected with your stormwater and what have you done? And I remember a couple of times back in the late 90s that we weren't eligible for a grant because of the way that our stormwater rate system had been set up. So again, I feel like I'm being Jeanette Gallo up here, and I think he said that was his mother's name or his sister's name. So, but I feel like this would be a Mr. Gallo moment where we'd talk about what happened in 1998 and the first time that the city raised stormwater rates, because I know exactly what happened. The feds came in and said, you have to start stormwater preparations, and you have to have this, and you have to have that. And that administration at that time decided the most effective way to do it and to raise money was to put 50 cents a month on each account. And what that meant was that on 32nd Street, Gene Brown paid 50 cents a month, and Mark and Mary Ann Barnaby paid 50 cents a month, and Mr. Skelton paid 50 cents a month, and Ms. Parker paid 50 cents a month. But you know who else paid 50 cents a month? Walmart. Look at all the impervious surface at Walmart. It was a knee-jerk reaction to the feds coming in and saying you needed to do something, and that's what they did. And it had been that way for years. And I get here and I'm looking at what's coming down the pike to some degree at that point in time, not exactly what we're looking at now, because that was 20 some odd years ago, but we were starting to have problems then. And we changed the system so that commercial accounts, people like Walmart that had yards and yards and yards and yards of asphalt parking lot, had to pay more than Gene Brown, Marianne Barnaby, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we've tried to do that because that's where the stormwater runoff issues are. Most of our private citizens have yards that the water percolates through. But the commercial accounts, if they don't have underground vaults, if they don't have retention ponds, and a lot of stuff that was built back then does not have that. So consequently, we're dealing with it. We have a problem with Wares Creek. Think about DeSoto Square Mall. All that impervious surface. Going back a little bit further, that was my mother's family. She wasn't that branch, they didn't get that money, but it was Burnett Fruit Farm, and where DeSoto Square Mall was a wetland. And that's why it floods, and that's why we get stuff coming, you know, things roll downhill, and that's what happens to Wares Creek at the time. So I'm happy to see that we're doing this, because I'm tired of reading on the Book of Face and all of the other social media outlets that we're not doing anything and we don't care. We are doing something and we do care.
Thank you. Ms. Moore.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I mean, I'm not adverse to becoming more on average with our rates. I just felt like it was, and Mr. Perry and I discussed it, and I didn't have, you know, I got there. But I did think it was important, since on the same agenda, we were doing two things at the same time. And so our conversation ended with what Matrix is indicating at this time is that 3% is not going to be more than what they're going to suggest where we get to. But I thought it was maybe a good idea to clarify for the public that we know what we're doing. We know that we're doing a study, and we know that the vendor the consultant is indicating that this is gonna be within the range that they're gonna ultimately suggest that we get there. And so I feel like that's fine. I agree with you, but I thought it was important for us to have this conversation. I agree with Councilwoman Coker that I think all of us would agree that they should be tied back to projects that are mitigating stormwater problems all over the city, because I know everywhere struggles with that to some extent. And I also know that we are being very proactive in procuring grants and whatnot. I know that we've procured,
Tens of millions.
Yeah, I mean, just in past spring, we got I forget the acronym, whatever, LMS or whatever. And so I know that everybody is, moving forward and finding funds, and I totally appreciate that. My only point was just after we discussed it, that we just kind of highlight, we're doing a study, but we are feeling confident that our rate is actually so low that, that it's appropriate for us to do this now, with the understanding that we may even have to, in future years, go up a little more.
Thank you. So I'm going to go towards three things sitting here. The first one, and Mr. Perry and Mr. Williams know this more than anything, and some of the staff that sit in these meetings every 2 weeks about City Park. City Park is where it's at in the planning stage right now because of what reason, Mr. Perry? Stormwater. The only thing we talk about so far is stormwater management and what we're doing. And some of the things we go forward, which is very important, because Village of the Arts did not flood like it did before during Debbie, Helene, and Milton, because the city did a great job over the years of conveying that water when it all used to go north, and if it was going north in those smaller pipes and the tide was up, it sat on the village for hours after the storm until the tide went out. It was done a great job by the city, where it then conveyed it south, east, north, from half of it and the other half still to the north. So those were things that we've done good over the last 5 to 7 years that took a long time for the village. And even though when we had 4 inches of rain, where we all know what happened with our wastewater system in September, in just a very short time, that village had water standing, but as soon as the volume of rain around the whole county stopped, it was gone. So we saw that stormwater works, but that's what we want to do for everywhere else as much as possible. And with the rates we're at, we're just barely keeping up. So we have to do something there. The other thing I look back at, and we say, you know, again, you've heard me many times, I love our towns to the north and to the south, but I want to be Bradenton. And we were Bradenton with our police and fire amounts of money. And that was, again, another major factor in when I ran for mayor and working with our police department to get them up to a living wage. We don't want to be the most, you know, we can't afford to be the highest paying, but we can be a living wage. We did that with the last police contract, which we're going to have a contract coming next year that we're going to have to work on, and the fire contract as it gets done in the next couple of months or soon, that we will have our firefighters over that 3-year period to a better living wage. Will it be paying more than others? No, but it'll be a lot closer. And those, you tie all this together when you're looking at it. We have to be in that in all of them. And it doesn't matter if it's public safety, which this is public safety because we saw what happens. And I think tomorrow's workshop about the Face It and Fix It and other things, you know, we're doing an overall city view plus the individual projects that are top on the list. And that's important that I hope people are out there, watch it today, come tomorrow at 3:30 for our workshop, because you're going to get what we're doing on some of the things, and some are going to make people happy and some aren't. And that's where I think that with this book of face that I heard about earlier, that Ms. Barnaby brought up, that the propaganda that gets out there, but it also is a good thing that can get good information out. So we're going to continue that. So Mr. Perry, did you have any further comments, or rather than asking for a motion to approve Resolution 2586?
No, sir.
Motion to approve Resolution 2586.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. And we've had a lot of discussion. So we'll start the vote in Ward 5.
Yes.
1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
4.
Yes.
Approved 5-0. And a great discussion, and that's what, you know, that's what we want, because we know we're facing and fixing it, and we're going to continue that. Moving on.
Item 7C is Resolution 2585, related to the city's rate and fee structure for city water, sewer, and reclaimed water charges.
Mr. Williams.
So this same discussion applies for our water, wastewater, or sewer and reclaimed water charges. 3% increase hasn't been increased in the last 3 years, so it's roughly a 1% average increase over the years. And there is one thing I want to clarify about this study. So the study, while it looks at our surrounding areas, the weight of that number is very minimal. What the study looks at is what does it cost us to operate, maintain, and reinvest in the systems. That is inclusive of stormwater, wastewater, water, and reclaim. So it's not some whimsical number that our neighbors made up and we got to keep up with the Joneses. It's what is the city of Bradenton's true cost to operate and maintain those systems. So I just want to make sure everybody, you know, understands that that's what they're analyzing, and that the number they come back to us with will be that number.
Well, and that's important, as we've done as a council so far, where we've brought in Woodard and Curran to help manage our wastewater system at the moment, and other things will be coming in the future. But one of the most important things is not only what we're surviving today, because a lot of the stuff we're doing is surviving the moment, but how we set it up for the future to succeed. You're going to see something coming under new business, that we managed very bad. And it's not to the staff, but we did not manage it well. And it wasn't, some of it wasn't our fault, some of it was, but when you're not managing something well, to do the same thing over and over again and not working was tough. We ripped the Band-Aid off a couple of years back, thought we came up with a decent plan. It worked for a while, and then it didn't with recycling. But this is the same thing. We are trying to, and this is what we talk about, Mr. Perry and Mr. Williams and I, when we're not here anymore, we've set the future up to succeed instead of set us up to kind of, I don't want to say fail, but maybe falter or barely survive, because that's in the political world of things, that's what a lot of people do. We're trying to operate this, Ms. Barnaby, like a business, not total business worth. And that probably, I've known her since I was a very young 20-year-old and moved across the street from her, and great friendship in that point. Had a little bump in the road, but I'm glad that worked out very well from that standpoint. And that was all politics, but not my fault, not her fault, just other people's in the politics world. But we're trying to operate this for success for the future for the citizens. And and I'll say this to Ms. Moore, if you'd have told me 5 years ago, when I started as mayor, we were in this position today, I would say, darn it, we didn't succeed, because of, I would have expected a lot more things to be done quicker. But we're operating this more like a business to manage it for the future of all our families, all our generations. And that's where I think, we've got to start stepping into that like a business, and then given the quality of service like that business. So, I'm glad where we are, but we're farther ahead than I think we are in government, but we're not as far along as all of us would like in the real business world, but we're going to continue to push like a business. And that's the great mentorship of everybody up here, including staff, as well as everybody else. So, we've talked a lot about this, but questions on Resolution 2585? Or we'll entertain a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to approve Resolution 2585.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Mrs. Moore, thank you. All right, we've had a lot of discussion. We'll start the vote in Ward 1. Yes. 2.
Yes.
3.
Yes.
4.
Yes.
5.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk.
Item 8A is a notice of recommended award to Waste Pro Florida.
Mr. Williams, is this you?
Yeah, I can take it. So staff had been asked by council and kind of to Mayor, to your discussion earlier about recycle. We took a little bit of a pause, if you will, for the curbside recycling and came up with what we thought was a good interim plan. That plan doesn't seem to be really servicing the citizens like we would like. What this is this, so the city with our procurement department, and Aaron and her staff worked with Public Works, and we went out basically out to the market and said, okay, well, what is it that you can give us? We listed the standardization of our services, what we were looking for to bring back some curbside recycling. And through all of that, through the selection committee, they picked a vendor. That's what this is. So this is simply a notice of recommended award. It's not a contract, but it does give us the leeway then to start negotiating with this company. In the interim to that, staff and myself will be bringing back to council a game plan, if you will, to say this is what the cost looks like, this is what the service looks like, and kind of everything in between, so that way council gets a good look at what is it that we're going to provide to the citizens. And then at that point, we'll obviously take direction of council, but this is the first step in that process.
Questions for Mr. Williams? Ms. Coker?
So you at this point don't know how much this would cost each citizen?
Not at this point, correct.
Because I'm just very concerned that we've raised the water rates, and now we're in the stormwater rate, and now you're talking about putting on an additional cost for recycling, and
Well,
I
We
am,
have not said there will be additional cost yet.
okay. Okay,
So let them go through the study and figure it out, but there may be other ways to offset increases and improve quality of service.
Right. Yeah, we'll.
We've talked about that in the workshop.
Exactly.
When we had the last workshop, when we talked about going out for the procurement.
Yeah, and it'll be a whole program scope that we'll bring to council to take a look at, ask questions about. So, but this gives us the opportunity to talk to the vendor, essentially, and bring some of that information to council.
But like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean when we're coming up with a game plan for an overall program that would be any increase.
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion, but then I'd like to make a
Discussion,
comment
okay.
afterwards, yes. Motion to authorize the award of RFP 25-037EJ. Can we come up with something better? And pursue a contract with Waste Pro of Florida, Inc.
Is there a second for further discussion? All right, second by Ms. Coachman, Ms. Moore, and then Ms. Barnaby.
Oh, Ms. Barnaby made the motion, and, but that's okay.
Who made
That's
the
all right.
motion?
I did. I made
I know, but she had her card up, so I didn't know if you was okay.
But I said, but I would like to
Like,
say
all right, Ms.
something after
Barnaby.
that.
All right.
Okay. Sorry. Getting crotchety in my old age. Mr. Williams or Mr. Perry, if you go and start the negotiations and come up with something, and the council does not feel that it is what we would like to see, can we start the process over again and look at a different company? I just want to make sure that I'm not locking council members into something that we
Right.
may have concerns about.
Yeah, so we have the company selected by the selection committee currently, and that's what's on the agenda now. If there was something that we didn't like through negotiations, even with the contract, we do not have a contract with this company at this point. So we're not locked into anything.
Okay.
But what this does do is it allows us to start that negotiation process, start gathering that information to be able to present to council. If council says to us, we don't like this program for whatever reason, is that we don't feel it's right for our citizens, we stop, we don't go any further. If we want to go back out to the market, we could do that. I'm not sure, I mean, Aaron can opine on any kind of waiting period if necessary. But yes, we're not locked into this specific company as of yet.
We're not
But-
locked into any specific ideas of what
Correct.
we're doing
Or process
with
or
solid
anything.
waste and the
Correct.
whole thing.
Exactly.
But we are doing what we said, what the mayor said, what this council said, when we went to the collection bins, that if we are able to find a way to go back to curbside recycling, that was what we wanted to do, and that's what we're doing.
Correct.
That we're
That's what
looking.
we're researching right now.
Yeah,
how it
we're
can
we're
work.
looking at trying to bring back curbside recycling.
Correct. Yep, and this is the step in that process to be able to start to work with the
Thank you.
selected vendor.
Thank you, Ms. Barnaby. Ms. Moore and then Ms. Coker.
Well, to Ms. Coker's point, that was my understanding as well, that this is exploratory, and I'm okay with that. But to the extent that now you're negotiating and whatnot, I think it's appropriate for me to at least clarify that my position on this has not changed. I believe that until, I'm not really wanting to raise costs associated with recycling. So as you negotiate, I just would like to keep in mind that whatever, I understand the nuances of the different buckets within waste collection, and that some are in the red and some are in the black, and they offset each other, but I would like to try something different without raising fees before we entertain having to do that at that point. So I just wanted to clarify that remains my position from whenever we discussed it last at the last meeting or workshop.
Yeah, I guess the one thing I can say, and hopefully this kind of settles everybody's concern, when staff looks at a program like this, we're going to look at it holistically, and we're going to try to provide the best service to the citizens that we can. And when I say the best service, that also is inclusive of the cost. Because we all know that, that everything's more expensive these days. So when we say we're going to provide curbside recycling or look at providing curbside recycling, in that analysis, cost is a huge factor to that. So I think everybody's on the same page with, yeah, we'd love to be able to provide as much service as we possibly can for as low as we possibly can. But that is something that we'll bring back to council as a package of here are some options. And we'll talk, we can talk through that, and council can kind of guide us on how you guys would like to see it going forward.
And that'll also be cost and procedural opportunities to make our sanitation better, from top to bottom.
Correct.
Because again, we know, and this is no dig to anybody, that sometimes we don't always process through things, and until people see that they can't fire us, but we've got to do better every day in every department that we deal with. Where if you're a private business and you don't do good, they can fire you or never use you again. So that's the goal of all of it. Ms. Coker?
Yeah, I think my concern was that the motion was to pursue a contract. And so I'm not convinced that if part of that contract is taking away other services to get recycling back, I'm not convinced that's what the citizens are going to want. And so just so we're still open to, I just think we've got a ways to go on this.
That's not a good word to use, a takeaway. If you can improve the quality of a product in a different way and increase efficiency, that has to be shown, and then that would have to be proven. And that's why all along, we kept talking about recycling, how bad we were doing, and how 70% of it was going to the landfill and all of that. So, it would have been easier for everybody when we made that decision several years ago just to eliminate recycling and never talk about it again. But in my opinion, that wasn't the good stewardship of what we do up here. Because again, there's a lot of things I may not love personally, but I think we've got to look at the overall stewardship of what we do and how we do it and how efficiently we do it to make it better for those tomorrow, the next day, and the next day, taking politics out of it. Because that's the goal in life. And even though we all, and I say this, you all have heard me say it publicly a million times, we may not agree politically on a lot of things, but we agree we're trying to make our town, our city, better day by day. Ms. Coker.
Okay, I'm just going to be out with it. I mean, if getting curbside recycling back is going to cost a day of pickup to citizens, I think it's got to be really flushed out through the citizens. That's all I'm going to bring up.
So let me ask you this, if we can make it more efficient and the services are better, because then you're coming up to where to do that with the cost increases of everything. And the county, I get this question all the time about what the county started on Monday, going to 1 day a week. A lady asked me the other day, well, I lost services. They don't realize their $26 pickup with the new contracts would have probably doubled to keep 2 days a week. And that's nothing to do with the haulers. That's to do with the cost increases of a lot of things in this country. And with fuel being where it is, with the services, with insurance, with everything else. So if we aren't looking up here strategically at how to make things better, then what are we doing other than just trying to keep costs low? Which, you know me, that's my goal too, but it's also trying to run a government like a business. And if a business is losing money and doing a bad quality on service, where are we at? What do we got to do? Because we know, you get the calls, I get the calls, we all get the calls about collection. We get it about our wastewater, we get it. But we can't help what's in the past. Basically, it's a face it and fix it as well. Or do we want to look at other alternatives for our garbage collection? And that's what we're doing with curbside, because, I still, I am not a great, I don't know what the right word is for recycling, because I know more about it now, that I think that when the original days when I was at the Boys Club, getting the aluminum cans in the bin that everybody would drop by, then we'd have to go through and spend all day Saturday getting 6 bags because there was more trash in it then. I didn't realize back then we couldn't just scoop it up. We had to put them in the 6 bags, and my mom would pick us up and take us by 3 o'clock to the recycling place, because then we'd get $22 for those 6 bags. So that was great. but they were recycling those cans now. As we know, they're probably not recycling as much as they used to because of the quality of stuff. And, not putting anybody on the spot in the audience, but, we know the billions of tons that are out in the ocean that China stopped buying. If it was still that well, if people were making money off recycling, people would be doing it themselves. And they wouldn't be asking for it, and they'd be paying for it. So
Well,
I agree with you, what you're saying.
I
But I
just-
also think we've got to come up with a plan that manages the rest of how we can do well.
I just want to go on record, I'm very concerned about any plan that takes, however you want to say, only goes to 1 day a week pickup. It doesn't matter sometimes, but if you have a small family that has multiple kids in diapers or adult diapers, or, maybe you do more cooking, and I am concerned if we go to less than 2 days. That's all I'll say. So I'm just putting that out there, and I'm concerned I'm seeing things moving that way.
Well, I appreciate that. I can appreciate the concern that it feels like we're like kind of dying by 1,000 cuts, like a slow fade. And which is why I also wanted to just make sure that everyone understood that my position had not changed. I know we're trying to be efficient, and I know that costs are going up, but I just want us to keep in mind that the one crucial way that we're different from my own business is they don't have a choice. So what we decide, they're getting charged. And we had many conversations about it, and I think they've all been productive. I just want to make sure whatever we're doing in the way of solid waste begins with a focus on improved service, excellent service. Before I will entertain increasing the cost of solid waste, I need the service to be top-notch. And then we can talk about, okay, now now maybe we've kind of earned the right to charge a little more. But initially, I do not want to raise the fee on that. And but I'm willing to the process can be different. I feel like the options you're going to present are going to be 1 day or whatever. And I think that that's fine. But again, it's just got to be consistently good service. And initially, I don't want to raise the fee because I agree with you that the sentiment right now is I'm already paying. I'm not getting anything for what I'm already paying. And I know we can talk about how, like, the nuance of how this is actually, the costs that we incur are not necessarily apples to apples. I know that within solid waste, there's different types of services that some are operating, at a not in the red, and some are not. But I just want to make sure that that the options that before we really begin talking about increasing costs for residents, that we get to the place where at least I have made it clear to you guys that I haven't changed. That's still what I think.
So that's going to just to talk, and then we'll go to Ms. Coachman. But that is the exact thing that I think we're talking about, the chicken or the egg. If you don't have the money to manage a business because of poor past decisions, then you've either got to run that business in a way at a lesser quality staff because you don't have the money to pay it. And again, I am not for raising the fees and all of that. I am for figuring a way to get this to the top level because I get a lot more phone calls probably than most of you from the public saying what a bad job we're doing. And being in this community longer than most of you, other than Miss Barnaby, just because of age, not because of time frame, and Miss Coachman, so.
Yeah, but I make this look good.
Yeah, so, and I say that tongue in cheek because this is the discussion I wanted to have, because we want this discussion. And I don't know if I was sitting still in Ward 2, how I would vote on either way. But if we don't talk about it, we're not either trying to fix it or trying to figure a way. And we keep going through it, but also I'm willing to ask the tough questions and then get an answer. And then the job of the council is to make a vote. And as we know, by a majority, you have to live with it. And it's either way. And that's what I am. But I also, how do you get better quality service? You have to have better quality staff. You have to have better quality vehicles. We've done that on a shoestring right now. And now we're trying to step up. we could not do curbside recycling very well, not because we didn't have good people trying, we just didn't have the staff. So we're trying to find a way, if it can manage money monetarily and everything else, that we've got a company that I think can give us that 100% quality improvement. And so, but again, this is more about discussion than it is about a process that you'll still get to come back and vote on, and you're going to have to make a decision. Is when Public Works comes to us and says, this is what we think we can do and efficiently. And I always put the caveat in, just like we did with curbside recycling. If it's not working, then let's stop it, try another plan, and then bring it back when there's an opportunity. And I probably spent more time with Mrs. Coker at meetings, and that's all people talked about at HOAs, is they want curbside recycling back. You know, so I mean, we can get people to come and say that, we can get people about money, but where is the happy median? And that's what we got to come up with. So, Ms. Coach.
Well, I really don't want to be redundant, but I have been hearing points that I agree with. But you touched on what I really wanted to say, and that is true. We want to show the public that we can produce this quality service before we raise. But again, chicken and the egg. If we have, and we do have staff that can provide that, but it is a question of how many. I mean, at the risk, we want to lift up our service at the risk of losing our people because you're expecting one person to do the job of three. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be, that's going to work because you really need people. So raising the rates, raising the cost, it's just one of those unfortunate events because you need money to have people to provide that quality service. And you know how I have felt, I've stated it before about recycle. I want it to be tough love. If we could train the public how to recycle properly, we wouldn't have really been in a bind. But if we want to provide quality curbside pickup, we couldn't do it as we were doing it before. So we need to take a look at another way of doing it. If it comes at a great cost, then we probably might do what I have said, and that's either do it well or don't do it at all.
No, and I appreciate that. And one of the things that what we're deciding on today has nothing to do with what we're talking about now in reality.
Yes.
So it's
For sure, because the way it's worded is a little.
Yeah, no, it all has to come back.
It
Once
still
they
has to come back.
negotiate, and if they come up, and then it'll be up, we'll have a workshop where Public Works will come back to us, explain some things, and then it would come to a council meeting.
Okay.
Because I don't believe that anybody's gonna do anything that's gonna say, oh, it's gonna be 5-0 against. We're trying to come up with a plan that meets a lot of needs and then make a decision. Either way, we have to make that decision, but at least we've wordsmithed it as much as we could to try to really get the next steps. And if it's not what the council wants as curbside recycling by majority, then it's not. But you're gonna see some other things that might help us in a way because of some of volumes and different things. Because if people are recycling, and we know that that's a big if people are recycling the way we should, if we could get 30-40% of our people recycling, that would cut a huge cost out of our landfill part that then might pay for the recycling. You know, so it's all a menagerie of things that we have to look at. And then it's about producing. I mean, if none of us produce well up here, we're not gonna be reelected. If we're not producing in our personal businesses, we're not gonna be successful. And that's the whole goal. So this is basically just to go to the next step before it would come back with plans at a workshop and then plans at a council outside of that workshop.
Correct.
So the chair, we have a motion and a second, and we've discussed quite a bit. So start the vote in Ward 2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
Yes.
1.
Yes.
Carries 5-0. Thank you very much, and great discussion. That's the only way we're going to move forward, is processing through things. All right, Mr. Perry.
Mayor, next item, 8B, is the emergency procurement report. We just have 2 emergency procurements to report on, which is a stormwater line that was located at 3910 Joyce Drive. We had to engage Woodruff and Son to come in and do that emergency repair. The cost on that was $30,029.61. That occurred basically on 10/1/25. The second item was a CSX railroad crossing on 9th Avenue. I happened to read the report on this one, which talked about the dangerous conditions on that particular crossing, of course, on 9th Avenue, MLK, and that area had a lot of different type of deterioration in the skirts that come up to the railroad crossing and the asphalts, laments and things like that. And we had to basically hire Woodruff to come in and do some emergency repairs. That cost was $40,429, and that occurred on 10/7/25. So that is my report under item 8B, which requires me to take emergency procurements to City Council at the next scheduled meeting.
All right, any questions? Seeing none, Mr. Perry?
Item 8C is the purchase and sale agreement for 520 17th Avenue West. It is a purchase and sale agreement subject to City Council approval for a parcel of land at that location. It is related to the City Park project, and what it would do is give us more location along that area for frontage onto 17th Avenue, which of course is a bisecting arterial for the project. The property was appraised at $392,000. We actually had negotiated discussions with the seller of the property. It is a roofing company currently that uses the premises for, I guess, some staging and equipment, things like that. Hasn't been particularly active that I've seen over the course of the last few years. But the owner leases it to, I think, a family member in the roofing company. In those discussions, we basically agreed to an 8.4% premium on the project, bringing the total acquisition cost to $425,000. With that amount, we avoid real estate brokerage fees, other types of costs that if we had to condemn it, obviously, we'd have legal costs and a host of other types of associated costs. So we think it's a pretty good value, and ultimately it will benefit the City Park project. The funding source on that, I believe, is supplemental funding. TDC.
Questions for Mr. Perry? I know obviously you discussed all this in your meetings. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, Ms. Moore. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Ms. Moore, questions?
Yes, I just want to make sure, actually, we didn't really do a deep dive on these two items. So I just want to make sure that the funding is coming from grants.
I just said.
Yeah, I know. I just want to make sure that we're like really talking.
Councilwoman.
Coming from what?
Grants.
Right.
Grant funding. I just want to make sure. We've had a lot of discussion about costs for citizens and spending money and increasing rates. I just want to make sure that we're clear.
So we got $5 million over 3 years. We got $5 million over 3 years from the TDC, 1 point whatever to up to 3 years, and this is what it was for, to help the City Park project get done from the TDC, which was approved unanimously by the TDC. It went to the county commission, and it's approved. So that's where, because it's going to help the whole area become a park-like system, and it's for what needs to be, meets the requirements of the TDC doing this.
Correct. Yep.
So, that's a good question, because this is where this is one of the things that I'm proud of for us as a group up here, that we've worked to secure collaborations with many other organizations that see a vision for our city that is going to improve neighborhoods and give a sense of pride to an area that needs it the most in a moment that they don't think we're doing things. And this is what is, and Mrs. Moore, you and I talk about this, it's frustrating at times that people don't always think we're doing something, but we are getting to that point where they're going to start seeing very shortly shovels in the ground, if you want to say it, and build, things happening. Unfortunately, underground with all the wastewater stuff we do, they don't see it. But when you're spending it, it's happening. And, it's that ROI. Our ROI is great right now, but the problem with it is you can't see it. We're going to start seeing things within months. And that was one of the things that we go, Mr. Perry.
Just on that point, Mayor, I think it's important to understand that when you talk about a project, the magnitude and size and multi-partnership as this city park project, it's complicated, and it's complicated for a lot of different reasons. It's complicated from the master planning perspective. We talk about things about in the past and in the future and the like. I think you really have to work in the critical path world of project management to understand that the projects we do, whether they're underground utility projects, vertical construction, police, fire stations, public safety, whether it's a city park, that the front end of those projects, it's not building them, the construction, getting the shovels in the ground, it's the front end of those projects that takes probably 50% of the time, and in some cases more than that. And so what we're doing with this is master planning the acquisition of this property, because it can be used in support of two major functions that you don't think about when you think about City Park. Parking, because there's going to be a lot of people there. And number two, stormwater, which we speak about ad nauseum. And particularly that parcel stormwater challenges that Mayor's talked about. He's in the meetings every time. And doesn't it seem that about half our master planning, probably 3/4 of it, deals with stormwater? And so that's important. And then in closing on this, I did pinky promise that it was TDC, Tourist Development money. We're very thankful for the partnerships we've had. They've been very generous. I think we're up to about $11 million thus far. And when you look at it for the master planning, the architecture.
Not from the TDC.
No. $5 million over 3 years from the TDC.
Right. Yeah, I didn't want that to think it was.
Right. The county also has supported
through
development through ARPA money
Yeah.
of, I think it was $2.5 million.
$2.5
million for the development of the PAL site and area. There has also been the state appropriation of $1 million, so that takes us to 8.5, and then Vern Buchanan put in, I think, 1.7, 1.8.
1.7 already secured,
Secured,
3 million.
with additional funding.
3 million when this government shutdown is taken care of, hopefully, that we'll get for stormwater.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And so I think those partnerships, and the school district is on the board too to help out in the ways that are permissible to the school district. I think you should be very proud of the job you've done and the mayor's done in shepherding that type of supplemental funding that hasn't fallen on a ratepayer, it hasn't fallen on a citizen, it hasn't fallen on anybody else, at least not directly. I mean, those funds come from those people, even though they're other entities. So let me give you all a pat on the back for doing it, and let me give my staff, who's had to go through procurement issues. Corey Fortin, just as the real property administrator, spends probably 20% of her time a week on this, and Lance and everything else. And it's going to be a world-class project.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, but the reality is that it's a complicated project. It's one of the most complicated projects I've worked on and everything. So this item, along with the next item, is an integral part, just one small part of a major project. Yep. And this is City Park. This isn't the police station. We got that going too. This isn't the new fire station. This isn't the underground utility. This isn't, it is stormwater.
It's not the vehicles that we have secured over the last several years.
Right,
For
yeah.
fire, police, and public
Yeah,
works.
yeah, this game speed, we play a bigger game than our size, and we play at a faster game. That's what I've realized here with all this going on. When you think about an entity of 60,000 people, 57 to be exact, 58 actually, thousand as a citizen, 14.4 square miles. This is like running the city, a big city with multifaceted projects going, and very committed staff. That's really starting to get that game speed up and performing at that game speed. When you talk about solid waste and the people we have and everything else, that's a different type of component, but the performance is expected, just as you all said. And the performance is expected for all these projects too.
I was talking to a person the other day, a group, and trying to secure private funding for some other opportunities over there at City Park, and was basically saying that if we only did the additional 2 baseball fields, and with what we could secure through that, it would be a project that would probably be a little bit farther ahead and be done. But because what it will do transformational, generationally in the City Park model with the Powell Community Center, that we're up to 11 or 12 partners now that will be in that building, with the Miracle Field, which brings in another whole component of things with the playground in front of Rogers, that puts a playground with a splash pad in front of Rogers. It will be used during the school day, but then 24, well, up till dark afterwards for the rest of the neighborhood during the off hours of school and summer, will transform an area of our city that I think that, you know, we'll be able to look back on when we're not sitting in these seats and say, hey, I was a part of that. And look at these kids that aren't doing the things that the bad people try to get them to do. And to give, because they see hope, they see faith, they see things that can go. And I was actually talking to the Boy Scouts leader, Boys and Girl Scout leader, and we can program them in there, which that's a neighborhood that probably has never had that. So now add 13 to another one to the list, because again, it gives that. So I appreciate it. I'm going to say this, and I tell Mr. Perry, Mr. Williams a lot, and I hope the rest of the staff hears it. Our jobs would be a lot easier if we weren't dealing with that part of it. But that part of it is what a city should be doing to help people. So the bandwidth of what you came into, Mr. Perry, 4.5 years ago probably wasn't what you thought, but thank you for that. And I hope that this council, as we go through, we are not big government people up here per se, but sometimes it takes a little bit more to get a little bit more, and that's what we're, as we work on. And you know, you met one of our new engineers last night or saw him. Some of you saw him. That's a step up in the right direction to have staff with us and going. And we're working on some other divisions that, you know, if we can get that right person in the seat, it needs to be there to get the lift station mowing done correctly, to get some of the little things that we try that, you know, don't always look as good as we need it to look, but we're working on that every day. So do we have a motion? I think we do have a motion. Yes, we do. I wanted to make sure. So Mrs. Moore and then Mrs. Coachman to the purchase and sale agreement at 520 17th Avenue West. So we've discussed it. Start the approval in Ward 3.
Yes.
4.
Yes.
5.
Yes.
1.
Yes.
2.
Yes.
Carries 5-0. Mr. Perry?
Last item under category 8 is 8D. City Administration's Resolution 2598, a public purpose necessity resolution that involves the adjacent property to 520 that we just discussed on 17th Avenue. This is specifically 516 17th Avenue West. And it's a unique situation. And we're at a point where I'm recommending that we proceed with condemnation and eminent domain. There's definitely the need for this property as it relates to supporting the city park municipal development. However, we initially basically brought about an appraisal, engaged in appraisal received the appraisal and then attempted repeatedly to contact the registered owner of the property. Oddly, the certified mail was signed for by that owner that requested that he be contacted and reach out to the city. And the owner hadn't reached out to the city after numerous efforts to both call and, again, certified mail the individual. Oddly enough, yesterday, I think it was, we received a call from a Mr. Wilson that we believe is the owner, Miss Fortin did, and we called Mr. Wilson back. I left my cell phone, I left my office number, I left Corey's number, and I believe I left emails and asked him that if he could promptly get back, because we were hoping we might be able to pull this item if we could see that he's interested in locating, selling the property. The property hasn't been used for a long time. It's unoccupied by any, it's commercial. It's
Very small piece of
very
property.
small piece of property, but it has a building on it and that's why I think the appraisal is a little bit more than the property that we had. But I'm asking basically to authorization to proceed with the public purpose resolution and accordingly initiate the taking through the eminent domain state statutes that are applicable if necessary.
If necessary,
Yeah,
that's what
I
I
am
was
going to
saying.
do everything I can to go knock on Mr. Wilson's door or interrupt him at dinner or however I got to reach him, really. But and I don't know what the circumstances are. I don't know if he just doesn't want to talk to the city, or I don't know if he even is mindful of this.
What is the appraisal price?
470.
I think it was
70 plus.
70. Yeah, it's listed, I believe, in the.
Yeah, I just wanted to
It
write
is.
it down here. All right, and,
What? No, he left a message.
yeah, so he called. Just a funny thing, during baseball season, we think, during spring training, we think people would use the lot and park on it, charge for it, that weren't, because nobody was there. And then, because every time you'd see somebody, it looked like maybe one of our urban campers put 5, 10 cars there and then walk off with the money. So, but we never could prove that or even researched it. But, Ms. Moore?
This is just a question about, this is only the second time since I've been on council that we've had to do it.
This is the only second time since I've been on council that we've done it. Keep going.
So this is really more for Mr. Rudisill. Do we need to have a discussion about the exact, I don't know, the last time we did it, it was, because the lift station was about to fall into a river. So do we have to have a discussion about the need or, like, what, I'm sorry, and I should have asked this earlier, but like, are there legal parameters for this conversation that we need to?
Not necessarily for this portion. I mean, I think Mr. Perry's kind of given the background about what the public necessity is. So if we do end up going down that road, we'll probably get an affidavit from him, and we'll provide the supporting documentation to take it forward. Obviously, we'll try to consummate the sale first. But yes, nothing further at this meeting.
Okay.
It's pretty clear what the legal standard is, but I think I agree with Mr. Rudisill. It would be supported by an affidavit to basically show the municipal interest in the taking.
All right, so Chair will entertain a motion to Resolution 2598.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to approve Resolution 2598.
All right,
Second.
second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll start the vote in Ward 4,
Yes.
5,
Yes.
1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Perry, anything else before we move on?
No, sir.
All right, we are going to take a 5-minute recess, and we'll be back here in 5 minutes. So then we'll do council reports after that.
Cool. Who's first?
and then we'll close it out. Is there any department heads that have anything particular before we go to our police chief, fire chief? Yep, Mr. Fire Chief.
Chief Gear, Fire Department. So we don't get confused on the date. On October 22nd, there are two events. So the open house is at 10 a.m. And then the flyer, I believe that was put in front of you, I'm guessing Tiffany may have done that, or Mindy. That's going to be at 5:30, and that's more of an open house style. Touch a truck, trying to get the community in there and have a little fun for the kids in the community as well. So, but you're welcome to attend both. But it's kind of a lot for one day, but we're going to break down to one and get set up for the next event and make it a full day. And right now, everything's moving in the right direction. We're on track to move furnishings in and get everything where they should be, so everything can be set up. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. It's a lot to do between now and then, but things are rolling in the right direction. So
I think it's going to be a very proud moment for the city, for the department, and for council in particular, for the dedication that's at 10 a.m.
Yes, sir.
And I was at the station Monday, I think, when I was out on the east side early in the morning, and it is quite an impressive facility, and it meets our future needs. That station will long outlive most of us, probably, frankly. I want to thank also Tamara and Tiffany and the team that's put together the events, and the department as well, the fire department staff. It'll be a very nice ceremony on the dedication.
I think it'll be very nice.
And when you see your name on that architectural plaque as the council person involved in it, be proud, because your support was important.
Well said. Yes, sir. That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Do I need to get up?
Mr. Former Vice Mayor, now Police Chief.
Thank you.
Bradenton.
All right, I have video presentation. The mayor saw the drone up last night and asked if I could.
Oh, how fun.
So that's with how windy. You guys remember how windy it was last night, but that's a little overview of it.
That's a
lot
more crowded. And the line is still crazy for.
Yeah, that was. I don't know what time that was.
That
it was.
Dark. The sun is down.
Yeah. So.
7:30 when the sun went down.
Actually, you know what? I can say that was definitely after 7:30 because some of the vendors right there and the tables had already left. I know WeCom left around like right around 7:20. So, but that's earlier in the day, obviously. But yeah, so listen, for our first time, we've done something like this at one location. I'm super excited, super happy for what we have going forward, no matter where it is. But that's little drone capabilities. We didn't do the FLIR stuff on there at night, which shows you what happens after hours. But no, what I was telling people in the community is normally this event, the National Night Out, happens in neighborhoods. It's sort of a neighborhood saying, hey, we're taking back our neighborhoods. Well, as if you remember, for many years, there were a lot of really strong neighborhood organizations, really sort of centralized by Tammy Gowdy for a lot of years. But as those have fallen off, we still attend their meetings and everything else. But instead of our officers sort of shuffling around the city and having to hit a lot of spots, we figured why not do this? Because another part of the community that isn't really part of those nights are those organizations that really can reach out. So we had the book truck there last night. We had Centerstone was there. We had WeCom had some of their students there giving out toothbrushes. So all those different organizations. Next year, I talked to Christine about having a table there for TIFF. Next year, if she's able to make it, it'll be the 20th anniversary for them. So that'll be a big thing. Just so thank you all for attending last night. I really do appreciate it. One thing about Christine and To Inform Families First, I was shocked. We had a meeting at the Community Foundation last week where she presented. It was actually the anniversary of the start of it. And when she said that only 19 states had emergency contact information, it was shocking to me because I've now hit all lower 48, at least in the RV, and I'm glad we didn't go off a cliff in a lot of those states because it would have been a long time before our family knew anything. It's a tool we use. We can't abuse it. We're not authorized to use it to just do investigative things. It's only for emergency contact. So it's really a great tool, and it's something it's there to help the families, because Christine was 10 minutes away. Not that it would have made a difference to be able to say her final goodbyes, but she was 10 minutes away, and it took 6 hours for her to find that out. It's shocking.
But
So
there's a lot of situations where if somebody's at that dire need, or
right.
they would get to spend
Yeah.
time with their loved one. and that's-
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of times when there's certain, decisions have to be made, that's where.
Live in other people's lives.
Right, absolutely. So thank you again for the proclamation today for her. And the pink shirts, obviously, thank you all for your support. We'll get some better fitting shirts for everybody going forward. Maybe traderoo of some shirts, depending on different sizes and things, but.
And they would like women's shirts.
I understand that, sir. I cannot believe that based on who was in this chair before, that was not already provided properly. But we will definitely rectify that situation moving forward. I promise you that.
Kemp and I would still like a men's shirt.
Yes, you'll get the men's, don't worry.
Real men.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave.
Me too.
And Rob.
Okay. That's it. Thank you all very much. Oh, on National Night Out, so when I promoted everybody, I think I made mention, when I did all the promotions, I put them in positions to succeed. The people who didn't get promoted, I also put them in new positions to succeed, and I think you saw that with Sergeant Alex Emmerich yesterday and what she did to put that together on basically 3 to 4 weeks' notice of, hey, let's do this. To get that done was really impressive, and I'm very
Tell us
happy.
about the vehicle you had out there.
Which
Well,
one?
not vehicle, but boat.
Oh, yes, our new vessel. Ocean One, I believe is the name of the company. They have come through for us. It was supposed to be a white hull, but they were having manufacturing issues with that one. They talked to someone that was getting the blue hull, and it was basically the same boat. And they were like, "You want to give that to the police department? We'll wait." And so we got moved up. So now it's a matter of sort of putting it in the water and seeing what works, and if there's anything that's going to break, have it break now before it gets too late. But yeah, once we get it operational, I'll make sure.
Take us all out?
Yeah, a 3-hour tour. Yeah, but no, yeah, but no, we'll be happy to.
Most young people wouldn't know.
Yeah, I got to ride in it briefly, about 20 minutes the day we got it. It moves, it turns, it does everything you really want a police boat to be able to do. So, but yeah, we want to get it out to the causeway. I've checked underneath to see if they have a little area they can sleep, so they can just stay at the causeway over the weekends. But we'll be able to get that done soon. So.
All right, any questions for Chief Kramer? All right, I would like Colonel Lee to come up if he could. Tell us a little bit about what we had there last night with our little garbage trucks and what some things coming in. I know it's on the spot, but I think that was probably very interesting. And then also, we know what was the most popular vehicle there last night is the Public Works unit. Because they like to blow the horn. They love the fire truck, they love the garbage trucks, but most of the kids love the front end loader more than anything.
Yes, Nate Irvin Lee, Director of Public Works and Utilities. I regret that I was not able to support you all last night because it was my wife's birthday.
Yes, it is.
I was detained elsewhere.
We had two
had a growth experience.
Interesting new garbage trucks that were a little smaller than the normal ones. So tell us about those.
Washed them in hot water and. Yes, but
it turned blue.
Yes, those are the smaller vehicles. Obviously, they're new to the fleet. Again, the ability to get into areas that put our put the drivers at a little less risk, and also being able to service places that maybe we couldn't get into as easily with the larger vehicles. But great. I myself was somewhat surprised at the color scheme, but that was something that, again, predated decisions that, predated me. So, again, unless you have some
I thought
details.
it was well received.
I thought it was attractive until someone called my attention to it.
I like the blue.
I did too.
The blue.
It stands out. I think the white is nice, but that really stands out for what we're trying to do. And one of the things that, like in the Bradenton Castle area, like the trailer parks over there and some of the other lower areas, and we know when you used to have the little trucks, then they went away with the little trucks and they really didn't have it. These meet the needs of a neighborhood where they can get through there quicker, safer, and probably more efficiently.
And again, smaller, but still, the functionality is still there. So, again, great opportunity to show them off to the community, and sounds like folks were.
No, and James, Bert, and Dax did a great job at letting the kids pull the trigger and dump the load and all that stuff. So the kids loved it. And they had a vest for them, put the hat on them, and just showed, who they see a lot. And obviously the firefighters that had the truck were putting kids in and out, front end loader, obviously all our SWAT team and everyone else. It was just a fun event. And when I went up to them and said, hey, get us some pictures on the drones, because they were flying the drones, but they weren't videoing it. So they started videoing a little later. But if you would have saw the 6:30 crowd, it was packed.
It was, yeah.
It was packed, and that was fun.
But
to
again,
see,
great,
and it was a
great
great
opportunity.
event. Yeah.
And some of the tools that we have aren't as sexy or desirous as some of the things that are.
That orange and blue, I disagree, sir. That orange and blue garbage truck is a perfect color for garbage.
Yeah. When you add the orange to it, you're right.
What do you?
Good job.
There's about a 7-week. We'll decide all of the interesting stuff in 7 weeks. All right, thank you. Let's not
Yes,
put you on
indeed.
the spot.
But we,
so.
again, and we appreciate the opportunity to, again, the resources that are provided to us and the opportunity to showcase them to the community.
Thank you. All right, any other staff discussions? Mr. Perry.
Mayor, I just want to briefly kind of recognize and commend and applaud some of the staff out there, actually all the staff. I talked a little bit about bandwidth and game speed and challenges, and certainly I think that we are delivering on behalf of the citizens, both in terms of performance of operations and infrastructure and the like. We're going to talk tomorrow about the face it and fix it, and you're going to hear a lot about hundreds of millions of dollars, quite honestly, in repairs and remediation to infrastructure. But that doesn't happen really unless you have a good team. And Public Works has had a lot of challenges, and Colonel Lee's done a good job. Him and I often, we share opinions and stuff with our team, and it sometimes gets a little rough, and I apologize for my demanding expectations in that regard. I truly do. But they're doing a good job over there, and piece by piece they're adding to it, and they're improving it, and it's going to be a lot better tomorrow than it is today, and today is a little bit better than it was yesterday. And that's the way you have to turn things around, and we're in turnaround jobs, all of us. And administrative services done a great job, procurement, IT, obviously communications, the planning department. Mayor and I were at a chamber event where there was several contractors in there, and one of them was a large-scale roofing contractor, and he said the city's doing a great job better at doing the permitting now with Acela, and it was nice for us to hear that coming from the industry, so to speak. Obviously our public safety department's meeting challenges. It's tough out there. It's always tough in that business for a variety of different reasons. And our volunteers, we have Mr. Landerfeld today, and he serves on boards that he doesn't even get paid for, and his leadership and assistance to the city has been remarkable. And Mr. Rudisell, you know, I think that the legal piece, people overlook that a lot. And, you know, we've had some litigation recently, just as recently as last week, that was pretty important to some of these things we're trying to do in the wards to infrastructure. And if you can't do that, you know, you get set back. And his team from Blaylock's done a really good job, and he's been engaged. Him and I talk pretty much every day, multiple times on the phone. So, you know, I think that everybody's rowing the boat in the right direction. Everybody's given 100% to row in the boat, and we're trying to take care of the people. We appreciate you helping us with that, taking care of them in a lot of different ways. And I think the game speed is improving significantly in the bandwidth, and we've got a lot ahead of us. It's going to need to. We get up every morning and we get out in the streets and we run, we discipline ourselves, and we finish the job strong.
And I would also like to include finance in that.
I'm sorry.
Sitting off in the corner. Yeah, finance team is small, but they're mighty. So.
There's always a smile on her face when you look back.
Absolutely. Heidi, her
She's
team
got
do a
that.
great
It's
job.
kind of hard to see for another great person in our city that, you know, but it kind of shines right off there.
Oh boy.
But Doug,
Yep.
Dougie, as I grew up with, but Doug Huffman and what he's been involved with our fire department and still does through even in his retirement to bring positive impact.
Hugely positive, and we'll be bringing to you very soon, after ratification of membership, approval of the IAF 3-year labor contract, and we work pretty well to try to get our fire department what they need in terms of the elements of acceptable compensation and benefits and work weeks and a whole host of things that are contained within a labor contract. They're really important. And Doug has just been a great partner, both personally and professionally, in trying to keep that relationship in a very positive manner and growing the department and the charter of the department and the future of the department. So thank you, Mr. Huffman.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. We'll go to council reports now. Ward 3.
So thinking about the National Night Out, and one of the positive things that and events like that do is it does bring out visibility and awareness, and we are a community. So springboarding off of that, I wanted to talk more about an event, visibility and awareness. On October 1st, in recognition of Domestic Violence Month, I attended the dedication ceremony at the historic courtroom, where the Manatee County Clerk and Controller honored two of their own, Aaron Kraft and Jasmine Catano, who tragically lost their lives to domestic violence. The Clerk and Controller's office dedicated 2 spaces in their Violence Protection Division in their memory, the Aaron Kraft Center and Jasmine's Nook. To paraphrase the county clerk, Angela Colonesso, these spaces serve as a permanent reminder to everyone who enters them that help is available, that no one has to face this alone. So this month, and these dedicated spaces remind us of something critically important. We must never lose sight of what is happening around us. We must be vigilant, not just in October, but in every month of the year. Domestic violence often hides in plain sight, and we must watch for the signs. As the old adage goes, if you see something, say something. Awareness does save lives. Our attention to willingness to speak up can make the difference for someone in danger. So this month is more than remembrance. It's about responsibility. We honor the memories of Aaron, Jasmine, and all the victims of domestic violence by paying attention, by speaking up, and by letting survivors know that help and hope are available. Let us think about them. Let us think about what each of us can do as neighbors and friends and as a community to prevent future tragedies. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very nice. All right, Ms. Moore.
I had a great time last night. Whoever the planner did a great job, and that was great to see and be a part of. I know we're having a bunch of workshops coming up, and I'm super excited about them. And I just wanted to keep on the radar that I would also love to throw in the mix of a workshop about the Riverwalk. And maybe that's also like kind of combined with CRA business, but I feel like there's, love it, love it, love it. But I feel like now that we've had it for several years, we could maybe tweak it a little bit and make some improvements. I have some conversations with the officers that patrol that, and I feel like they would love to be a part of the conversation. And I know that we're traveling to Tallahassee mid next week, but I also was just going to let everyone know that I'll be going to the FRA conference. This is more CRA, but I don't know if anyone else is, but I'll be doing the second 2 days. Okay, great, yay. So that's next week. And finally, I know this is not, I feel like maybe today's meeting, I was a little like Debbie Downer-ish, and this is not my intent at all. And I love our staff, and I want to be supportive 100%. So this is not issue with staff, this is the vendor. I'm dubious about the landscaping vendor. And I just want to throw out there that it's a contract like anything else. And so I want to make sure that we're critical enough of their performance. And I know that Mr. Peterson has been relaying that to them, but I don't know how much success he's had. But I just don't think it's acceptable to ask residents to not have the right-of-ways mowed for 2 solid months. And I know that, I know that it's hard, but I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention that so far, I just have not been super happy with the vendor's performance. And I don't know, that's, we're in a contract now and that's fine, but I just want us to be critical and recognize if maybe we need to throw that back out there to Ms. Jones' world and figure out if we need to do something different when that contract expires.
Could I just real briefly? My experiences with privatization, and unfortunately I have a good deal of it, is it takes a little bit of time. And I'd agree with you that the transition was not fostered and shepherded appropriately, because I think, quite frankly, people go, well, we got a contractor, we're just gonna like wash our hands of it. On this particular procurement, there was a delay of 2 months that was related to the procurement, and it was probably related not to the procurement department that did a really good job with it and Aaron, but more related to whether it was prime time to present to council on that contract. And so there was this lapse. And then the new contractor comes in, and I went over to where the mayor lives and looked at the front of that, and it was, when you talk about unacceptable, it was unacceptable. And Lance and I both realized that. We are going to have to more actively monitor and manage that contract. When you privatize or outsource anything, at least to have some level of success at it, there'll always be challenges, but you have to manage that contract. And so we're going to give it a little bit of time. It's way too early, in my opinion, to judge it. It has been under-impressive in its initial rollout. I absolutely agree with that. And we're going to give it a little bit of time. I know Lance has been talking with the principals at the contractor regularly, setting what the expectation is, talking about some deficiencies and the like. And then I think we assess it after a little bit of time. I don't think your comments are ill-placed. I think they're absolutely legitimate.
And if you heard me talk earlier about bandwidth and what's happening, we are looking at opportunities to maybe bring somebody on board that, and it's hard to find people, but we're looking at some opportunities to bring somebody on that is a get it done person. And because these two can't manage every program,
absolutely.
But we got to set it up to succeed. And unfortunately, this hasn't worked as well. I think again, privatization is one thing, but when you can't even, when you have 12 positions in a grounds and landscape and they've got 6 temps and 6 open positions, you can't blame that on Ross Peterson.
And I'm not
and,
at all.
And I'm not
He's
saying
been
you are,
great.
but it's frustrating to all of us because we thought maybe going a little bit more this way would help save money and do a better job. Unfortunately, I don't think they can find people either. So, they're not able to find the staff, because if they were, they would probably rather work for us with the way we do it and benefits and all that, where the lawn services aren't, but.
And just to be clear, Mr. Peterson has reached out to me directly, and I know that he is trying to, chase it and get that performance level up. I just threw it out there because I feel like it has to be said. I would just like to see improvement, and it's not because of staff. I do not believe it's because of staff. It's just my observation. I'm not back in the back room as you guys are. But I just think they're underperforming so far. We're in a contract, so we're gonna see how it goes. But I just wanted to let, the rest of council know that this is my thought is so far, like, I haven't been super impressed, to say the least, but this is not a criticism of staff. This is just us talking about a vendor and how they're performing.
All right.
That's
Anything
it.
else?
Yep, that's it.
All right. Ms. Coachman?
Okay. Councilwoman Moore, don't feel like you're Debbie Downer.
Thank you. I hate being Debbie
I
Downer.
think it's great that we have these discussions because we don't get to talk to each other. We don't get to know how we feel about things. So no, you're not being Debbie. You're stimulating the conversation. And I wanted to say something else about your points too, but just don't feel any type of way. I think it's great. We had great discussions. I feel like sometimes I'm the one that's like negative and going kind of against the discussion, but no. Just thank you, all of us. I think we do a great job up here discussing our differences and our similarities. Also want to say kudos. Last night was a success. I'm going to just confess that I had not attended any of the others because they work in neighborhoods, and sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be out that time of night. I want to be home safe in my house, So, but last night was a great success. Looking forward to it each year, even when I'm not on council. Great discussion hearing about City Park, as always, and I did okay. I didn't start crying because I chose not to speak about it. What a great transformation, not only for the area, but for the city. That's really, if you look at the 14.4 square miles, that's kind of central, in my mind, I want to say. So it's for the city. It's going to, I don't know, it's going to pump more blood through the veins when it's completed. I was excited to see the new executive director of the Housing Authority come before us this morning. I did not have the opportunity to go when there was introduction to meeting her the other morning, so it was great that she was here, and I look forward to working with her. I really don't have a lot to say. Ward 5 is alive.
All right, thank you. Ms. Coker?
Well, previously things I was going to cover, of course, again, last night was awesome. But it is October. We have our pink shirts on, and so it's breast cancer awareness. And every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer. A reminder that awareness can save lives. Early detection is our most powerful weapon, but it only works if we take action. So schedule your screenings, know your body, and encourage women and men, because it can happen with men, that we love to do the same. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Barnaby?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to echo what everyone has said about the National Night Out programs, because I remember one year when I was vice mayor trying to get to about 8 different National Night Out programs from one end of the city to the other, and it was quite a haul. So I like the idea of having a centralized location and having everyone kind of come where they can come together, we can share food, we can have fun with the kids, they get to see some of the apparatus that their tax dollars pay for. And again, just an outstanding job done by your staff. So please thank her. Absolutely. Happy belated birthday to Mrs. Lee. And I'm glad that you recognize that that's an important day, because you can go and have kids touch a truck just about any day, but that's an important day. And also happy birthday to Tina White. It's her birthday today. Those of us that remember her from Demetrios, and she's still out and around. I am very much looking forward to the workshop that we've got tomorrow afternoon. I can't wait to hear all the good things. I also wanted to thank the mayor for joining me at the Bradenton Women's Club fundraiser they had Saturday night. They were raising money for 10 women veterans to attend an honor flight to Washington, D.C. And they raised $10,000 to be able to do that. So,
And that's the first time they've ever done it specifically for women veterans, so, you know, and in the state of Florida.
Right.
So they've always done it, but it's mostly been the men. So our women's club, and I think that's a great support that, you know, the CRA now is helping with some things there and able to really promote that program in the city.
And they've gone on a recruiting exercise. They're really trying to reach out to the community and get more women involved, and they're doing a lot of good stuff. And one of their taglines is "For the good our hands can do." So their hands are doing good over there. And then I just have to say this. Mrs. Coachman and I have our high school reunion coming up October 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Yeah, it's the 50th year.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It is the
25th.
It is or it's the 49th anniversary of our first year of graduation. How's that?
That works.
So, shout out to class of 1975.
Thank you. Ms. Moore?
I just want to say really quickly that I love this, and I'm so excited. Thank you so much to Tiffany and to your team. And to your point, Mr. Perry, I cannot tell you, I was not on council when this got off the ground, so I cannot take credit for it, but I cannot tell you how excited I am that we have an opportunity to have fun little things in, like, literally my immediate neighborhood. So, very excited. I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you, thank you.
Remember that drive around, Chief Gear, when we found that property?
Oh, yeah.
On a rainy Thursday morning?
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let us in.
Time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was like, well, that property really doesn't work. Let's make it work. Let's stop talking about it. And we're finally to that time that we got the property, made it work, and it'll be a fire station that'll live generationally in that community, as well as helping people, because the moments that, and we talk about minutes, seconds, that not only for a fire, but also for what we do with EMT services and all of that. So we're glad that that's finally coming and going to be done.
It's a beautiful station. Everybody did a great job on the planning. So,
you hear a lot of
great.
old retired guys that said, well, we'd come back now.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to the other one. So anyway, no, thank you. And obviously last night was a great event for our city. I do want to say that I did talk to one of our HOA people that is like, well, we're not doing anything in the neighborhood, but so we might want to try to reach out to them next year to invite the neighborhoods, especially some of their boards that we might have missed this year, not purposely, but just because of the changeover. So I think that's very important. Very excited next week traveling to Tallahassee to see, I think it's our 7th or 8th Senate President for Manatee County, and Jim Boyd. And we know that, politically a lot of things happen, but when you're celebrating that, we're one of 67 counties, and we're going to have the Senate President to work with and hopefully continue the progress we have here. So congratulations to him. I also want to remind everybody, tomorrow we've talked about it, but the Face It and Fix It workshop will be at 3:30 here in this building, and it's going to go over a lot of what we're doing, what we've done, and what we're continuing to do, not only citywide, but also a couple of specific projects that we're going to be working on that we've been working on that hopefully will move quicker than we've talked about, an opportunity there. And I think today we had a great debate, you know, because again, some of the things we can't talk about outside of this room that we can talk about, and you know, it's not my way, it's not Mr. Perry's way, it's not Mr. Williams' way, it's not individually our way, but it's everybody talking and then coming up with a plan. And just today, talking about some of our garbage collections in different ways. Well, there may be different ways now that we have trucks that are a little smaller. Maybe we need 2 more of those. Maybe we can figure into a way to still give the quality of service, improve the quality of service with a smaller vehicle that might not cost us as much money to operate on a different way. So, I mean, all that gives ideas because I'm always looking at what's better. And we know that, you know, just because I like it or you like it doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. It's just that way. So we're going to keep working.
And the trucks, you don't need CDL.
Right. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. You don't need CDL to drive those little trucks, so maybe we'll have a city policy.
No, but you do need keys.
So anyway, but no, we have fun with that, and that's the good debate. You know, we can agree, disagree, but we can debate. One of the things that probably in the 5 years that I've been up here almost as mayor, when this started 5 years ago, I was fortunate enough for the citizens to elect me, we looked at a way to figure out, and we had a great county collaboration that came in. And, you know, where police department deals with it more than anything, our fire department deals with it, because when you have people homeless and mental illness and different things that are going on in their life and they're on the streets, you know, the police have to deal with it in a more of a cyclical way to say, hey, you can't be here, you got to move, you got to do it. Fire department has to deal with when we think they might be dead on the street, on the sidewalk, getting out there to help them. But when we looked at the county and said, hey, and this was looked at as a city problem because all of the services were in the city. But collaborating with Manatee County government and the commissioners at the time, it really was something that I said, this is a county problem. How do we fix it together? Working with our nonprofits, working with especially the two that stand up the quickest and visible in our city is Salvation Army and Turning Points. 2 great organizations locally, and Salvation Army obviously is a great organization nationally. But we had to fix something. We had to start somewhere. We had to do something. Well, through a lot of the opioid money that's coming in through the county, which again, the county is the big sister to the city of Bradenton, the city of Palmetto, and the other cities, just because of their sheer volume, their billion-dollar budgets. And we saw something open last week, Under One Roof, which is for 40 beds in the county on 57th Avenue. Is an old sheriff's office substation that is going to help 40 women right now. But you see some of the comments on that book of face, that we now call it, that are talking about, well, it's not the women that need help, it's the men, it's all that. But what people don't realize is this is the first step that's going to happen in our community, because we had to get it to somewhere. People, it's out there, the information. We're working with the county to transition Salvation Army from the men's shelter into a family shelter, a 26-pod family shelter, because Under One Roof, Fresh Start Manatee is a program that's going to be hopefully open sometime in late 26, where it'll start out with a 150 men's shelter, which will be able to grow to 300 at some point, where there's new laws, and we actually adopted it, where you can go to a shelter or mental health and get help. You can go home, or you can leave, or you can go to jail. And obviously jail is the last thing we want anybody to go to. But Under One Roof is one of the things that the county, through a lot of organizations, have stepped up and done. But again, that's the first thing. So it's not just about women, it's about what's the next step in what we're doing. And if you want to go to the county website and watch what that's going to do and see it, it is so good. And then Helping Up Mission is part of that. And one of the things that the county has taken on, because we are the county, even though we have our own boundaries, we're still the county. but helping up mission is something that 109 Manatee County citizens have gone, and they've paid through it with this opioid money and all the funds that come in that have, I think they're at 94 or 96% rate, where they go up there in Baltimore for 12 months. And they had 3 people on the stage or on the video talking that it saved their lives. And there's a lot of us
We know.
that know if that would have been there, it would help your family. I wasn't going to get emotional, but it's there, and that's what's happening in this county. And it's not about rivalries, it's not about politics, it's not about anything. It's about us. And that's what I saw last week at the Under One Roof opening. And I want to thank all the county commissioners, all of the not-for-profits. And I did say when I talked that this city has done a little bit of tough love with some of the organizations. And I thank you on the council because we've had to show them that it's not about us. It's about what we can do to help people. And I think that's what we're doing. So thank you, and let's keep it going. And let's keep, just collaboration is so important. We can disagree at times, we can debate, but it's about what we're going to do next to make that generational change to help individuals. And sometimes there is a little bit of, you have to make a decision, and it's not right or wrong at the moment. But I think when people look back on what this city is doing with the collaboration with everyone, they're going to look back and say, boy, that was a good time. Even though I might not have agreed with them then, I agree that they made a good decision now, and it's outside of politics. So thank you, and I could go on forever, but I think it's important that we continue to work through it and make tough decisions, but make good decisions from your heart and make things better. So I don't think there's anything else. We'll be adjourned. Thank you.